Welcome to part 3 of my contribution into the Porsche Group Build, hosted by Chuck's Hobby Spot, BG's Model Workshop, and the Lucas E channel. In part 2, I added twin turbos to the 917 engine, made a frame, and added a fuel and oil tank. So one of the things I really didn't like was how the transaxle just kind of hung out in the rear of the frame. So I added to the frame. And I've now made this piece back here with some little thingies, and I'll show you kind of how those mounts will work. So we have the engine as before, and it is a very snug fit. And so if you look, we've put these two pins back here because this piece came with the resin engine, and this is basically the rear frame mount with the exhaust mounts. And I thought that that worked pretty good to mount onto the back there, like so. And again, it has two little pins. So now that kind of holds the engine in place. The next thing we needed to do is we got to start making it more tractor-like. So we have the rear wheels, we have the axle. So basically what this is this is the tractor axle. I cleaned up the seam with the foot mount, because that's a nice piece. But I've also drilled and inserted a piece of aluminum tubing into this. So as you can see, these then slide on. Here's one, and here's the other side. And as so. So the tractor tires have this gear reduction thing, if you will, and normally they mount this way, but we're going to mount them, flip them side by side, mount them like that, and they just press on, effectively lowering the tractor because, you know, it's kind of race car like. So that's the rear axle. Let's look at the front axle. So the front axle of the tractor, it's kind of fun because it does this. It has some kind of apparatus up under here that allows to do that. And actually it's sort of accurate, other than the giant lugs to hold the wheels on, the spindles. So I think I have an idea how to kind of fix all that. So here's my modified axle. So basically what I've done is flipped it upside down. As you can see, I made some much more smaller spindles, and the ends will get trimmed, and they still do steering things. And as you can see, it has a much thinner tie rod. This is just to mock up because we got some of these to do the real one. And then this simply will insert into that rod, and it will do tractor things. That's kind of like the suspension, if you will. So now we have the tractor up on its wheels. I wanted to keep the wheelbase as close as possible, but you know, it's kind of like that was going to be pretty impossible. And again, you know, it's pretty neat that the steering will pose. And in the last video, we talked about the fuel oil tank that I made that then mounts right up here. And I mentioned it has a tube that goes through the middle of it, and it would do something kind of cool. So let's kind of dive into what that actually does.
So I came across these brass 8-tooth miniature bevel gears that are under 3 millimeters in diameter.
And I thought, ooh, it would be neat if I could make the steering actually work to the steering wheel. And so once they came in, I super glued it to a piece of small brass rod. And you can, I don't even know if you can see that. It is small. So this is the one that will go to the steering wheel. And then this one is the one that inserts into the magic rod. Boop. And then this drops in here into its little home. And when you turn this, the bottom one turns. So when this gets assembled, I'll be able to turn the wheel and work the front wheels, just like a real tractor. One of the things that I was really not looking forward to doing was the wastegate and pop-off valve for the twin turbo system. I had already made the pipes that connect to the headers, but this complicated U-shaped pipe that then ties it all together was going to be kind of an interesting piece because everything was kind of just flopping around. So how this works is, again, the exhaust is pinned, and then these will insert in. As such, and then it connects to the underside of the engine. The pop-off valve is simply just a piece of plastic that I found, and believe it or not, that was a distributor cap from a Salvino NASCAR. It will go right there, boop, and it'll get plumbed into the intake to do what pop-off valves do. These two here will be where the exhaust comes straight up. Take a look at that next. So here I've added some more details. You can see that I've got the exhaust with the pop-off valve. And then if you look closely, see that we have the twin distributors, one in the front, one in the back, the fuel injector pump, and of course these are the intakes. And then we've added a little battery down in here. Well, not the most ideal place for it, because it can kind of get hot down there, but it's tractor, and we really don't have that much space, obviously. So let's add another layer of stuff to the tractor, see what happens next. So here we've added another layer of detail to the tractor. So basically what you see is we've got the exhaust pipelators, all the intakes in, and we've added the steering shaft. It has a little bit of a dashboard back here. And again, you can kind of see how those steering gears are going to work. I don't think they're actually meshed right now, but they do mesh. Oh, we added the headlights. That was a neat one because it had headlights. Ah, more tractor parts. See, right here, I had to lengthen the hood just a little bit to fit that flat 12 in there. And then I have pinned the seat to the back of the frame and added the mandatory steering wheel. So as you can see, it's going to be kind of dragster-like, but still needs some more tractor parts. Okay, the tractor comes with these really cool fenders. The rear ones have a little bit of an issue that they have all of these holes in them for mounting, I don't know, seats and tractor gear. So how I like to fill them is with this evergreen rod. I drill them out, super glue these in, and sand them. And so I've already kind of started on this one, these for the other tractor, and you can see they're there. And I also added some aluminum tubing because there'll be a taillight back there, because it needs taillights. It has headlights. So, and on the front, it has these cute little ones, but they don't really work right. As you can see, the tire hits them, and the fenders are attached to the axle, not the spindle. So that is not approved. So what we did over here is we added them to the front, and they are on the spindle, so they turn with the wheel. That's fun. So where do we stand with the tractor now? So there we have the tractor with fenders. That's looking pretty good. It's time to start priming and sanding and priming and painting. Well, I think this is a good stopping point. We only have about a month left, so wish me luck as I get this thing painted. I got something pretty neat in mind and a few extra details planned for it. And as usual, like, comment, subscribe. You guys know what to do, because I have all kinds of model car stories to tell. Thanks for watching.